I know many of my regular viewers were waiting on it, so of course I'm going to give it to you. It's starting up hour number 3 with talking about World War III. This is your World War III report for April 6th. What is it today? Wednesday, April 6th, 2022. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Let's see. Putin ain't blew us up yet. But as you can see by taking a look at the map, everything is transitioned over to the east coast of Ukraine. You can clearly see majority of any fighting is happening over on the east coast of Ukraine. Russia is doing a smart move, if you ask me. They're literally trying to take over the entire east and the south region, and then they're going to come up, because I don't believe they're giving up Kiev for a single minute. I'll leave that up to you guys. Yes, they backed out of Kiev for now. I would say repositioning, and I think maybe they have some big plans for Kiev, is what I'm thinking at this stage. If you take a look at the map, there's not a whole lot going on here. Explosions in Rad Kiev, or whatever that's called. The explosion reported near Kaya-10 or whatever. But Russian army has stolen power generators from an electrical station in the Kiev region. So they're essentially doing damage to them. They are doing damage to them. And as you can see, the red is starting to build up, particularly in the south. If you look at that map right there, I feel like Russia has control of more territory today than they did last week. That looks bigger to me. It's more consolidated. They've left Kiev, but look what they have. That's all of that red is their control in another motherfucker's country, right? I think that matters, and I think you have to look at that type of situation. Russia is sending Butchers of Bucha brigade back to the front lines, where they will most likely be killed and unable to testify at any war crime tribunal. So the people that they said butchered the people, the civilians, tied their hands behind their backs, babies and all that, and killed them. We talked about that a little bit yesterday. They're going to send them back out to the front line. And of course, propaganda is saying, well, they're only doing that so they get killed, right? And so they can't testify. Well, they were on the front line before. That's how the fucking shit happened. What do you mean? Intelligence from the Ukrainian MOD says Russian troops who committed war crimes in Bucha are already being sent back to the front lines in western Ukraine, which makes sense, though, because if they were on the front lines committing the war crimes, why wouldn't they continue to be fighting? They seem to be some of the most dedicated Russian soldiers. The 64th Motorized Rifle Brigade is believed to be responsible for the Bucha horrors. Troops left Bucha last week, but are now headed for Belgorod in western Russia. Ukraine says they will be deployed on April 8th to the front lines, likely in Kharkiv. It is believed that they are being sent to die to prevent them from testifying at future war crimes tribunals. Their testimony ain't gonna matter if you're... Listen, man. And this is why I don't like the media. They just make shit up. They just made that up. Listen, these people have already determined and decided that Vladimir Putin is a war criminal. They've decided that. I don't think he is. I think he's a hero. They've already decided that Vladimir Putin is a war criminal. These little guys right here that did that shit, their testimony ain't going to matter. And besides, if you get to that point, do you honestly believe Vladimir Putin is going to be tried? No, he'll be dead way before that. And I think we all can understand that, right? So, I mean, obviously there was many atrocities that happened, and a lot of people know about it. A lot of dead bodies, a lot of people that was, mass graves. Bucha was a slaughter. It is what it is. It's kind of the way war works. War means people are going to die. It just kind of is what it is. Finland and Sweden would be welcomed into NATO if they applied to join, Secretary General Stoltenberg says, as Russia warns of retaliation. Sweden and Finland are mulling in NATO membership in the wake of the war in Ukraine. Move would mean breaking long-standing neutrality pacts signed with Russia. That would be dumb. Sweden, that'd be dumb. Everybody understands Sweden is like that one place, one of those places that's neutral. It would be dumb to give that up when that's what makes your identity. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, to me, these places, Sweden and Finland, they should stay out of it. To me, the United States should stay out of it, right? Jens Stoltenberg, head of the alliance, said today that both of them would be welcome. Of course they want. They're trying to force as many countries as they can to join NATO. Alliance would work to address security concerns between the countries applying to join and ratifying them as members, he added. So they're trying to get as many people to be anti-Russia and join that shit as possible. Secretary of State Blinken says Putin's troops are on a deliberate campaign to rape, torture, and kill in Bucha. And UN ambassador says reports of Russians being sent to filtration camps are chilling. As this Russian tide is receding from parts of Ukraine, the world is seeing the death and destruction that laid in its wake. That's what they're claiming. What we've seen in Bucha is not the random act of a rogue unit. It's a deliberate campaign to kill, torture, and rape and commit atrocities. You see what they're doing? You see what they're doing? I don't know if this is a false flag or not. I don't know what the fuck happened. But I know in war, this kind of shit takes place. You know how many American troops have been accused of rape, killing, and torture? Our current military has been accused of all of that. It wasn't too long ago we were having the waterboarding debate. I don't believe there should be rules of engagement. War is war. You want to go to war with me? The gloves are off. At the same time, the U.S. ambassador and the UN to the UN, Linda Thomas-Gutfeld, noted that the Ukrainians were being taken to filtration camps. See what they're doing? They're trying to make Vladimir Putin sound like Adolf Hitler. He's taking them to camps to filtrate them. Russian federal security agents are now taking away passports, IDs, and cell phones so Ukrainians cannot escape and ripping apart families, she said. I do not need to spell out what these so-called filtration camps are reminiscent of. It's chilling, and we cannot look away, she says. They are accusing Russia of doing things far worse than Hitler and the Germans did. Look at what just happened in Ukraine, what they're claiming happened in Ukraine. Now they're even adding to it the camps. I don't believe any of this. Meanwhile, the Al-Qaeda leader that we all thought was dead, I'm not talking about bin Laden, I'm talking about bin Laden's number 2 guy. Al-Qaeda leader Ayman al-Zawahiri, and I reported this about a year ago. And everybody said I was full of shit. He's alive. Elusive terror chief, one of the world's most wanted men since bin Laden, number 2 during 9/11, reappears in video filmed in recent weeks, scotching rumors he died in 2020. 2020, we had this conversation. That's him right there, Zawahiri. There he is. Another video. He's been reappearing in videos. Bin Laden's number 2, al-Zawahiri, has appeared in a new video. He denounced enemies of Islam after Indian school banned wearing a hijab. Al-Zawahiri last appeared in a video marking the 20th anniversary of 9/11. Egyptian-born doctor took over Al-Qaeda after bin Laden's death in 2011. Now, when he was on that video in 2020, I told you, and so it wasn't last year, it was the year before. I told you then, that's the real him. And everybody, all the mainstream media was like, that's not him. It had to be pre-recorded. Zawahiri's not alive. Bin Laden, we killed him and threw him in the ocean. Right. And I told you it was all bullshit. So meanwhile, while we're dealing with World War III, goddamn Zawahiri is still alive. We didn't even defeat Awan Zawahiri, and you want me to believe we're going to defeat Vladimir fucking Putin? Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Russian soldiers cut tongues out of civilians in Bucha massacre, they're now claiming. Of course, they want the Russians to sound like they were literally the Nazis in Germany. This is the type of shit that they want us to see. The pictures that shame the UN into silence. Zelensky slams world leaders for failing to protect Ukraine as he shares gruesome footage of dead civilians and warns women were raped in front of their families in the worst war crime since World War II. Of course, Have you not noticed that they keep making that comparison? That they keep talking about Putin and Hitler? What's happening now and the Holocaust? They keep trying to talk about it like it's the same thing. Because they want you to look at Vladimir Putin and say, that's Hitler part 2. We got to stop him. Because they think about everything you guys have said all this time, right? If Hitler existed today, we would do X, Y, and Z. You know what I'm talking about. Zoo in Kharkiv prepares to kill all its lions, tigers, and bears in case Russian shelling allows them to escape into the shattered city and attack civilians. These people are going to kill all the animals in the zoo. Ukraine is. But they're the good guys? They're going to kill all the animals in the zoo rather than take them somewhere and maybe release them. They're going to literally kill all the animals in the fucking zoo. It's insane. Said the park no longer exists. Just going to kill all of them. Little zoo, little jaguar cub. Just going to kill them all. Kangaroo, they're just going to kill them all. And you want me to believe Zelensky and Ukraine's the good guys? Top U.S. general says the potential for significant international conflict, of course this is Miley, is increasing. He knows World War III is coming. That's why this article matters. That's why this headline matters. Because when the generals and everybody else is saying World War III is coming, how can you look at me and say, JB, you're overreacting? World War III is coming. That's what significant international conflict means. We're not going to have a sandwich with the motherfuckers. The two Pentagon leaders said the threats from both Russia and China remain significant. Russia and China. And we're not even done. Kim Jong-un's sister. Look at that crazy bitch. And so you guys keep rooting for the death of Kim Jong-un. That bitch looks crazier than Kim Jong-un. Threatens to nuke South Korea. That's your next leader of North Korea right there. And that bitch is far more vicious than Kim Jong-un. That woman is far more vicious than Kim Jong-un. Do your research on her. But guys, let me tell you another reason why World War III is coming. First NATO country sends tanks into Ukraine. The Czech Republic provides T-72 tanks and armored infantry vehicles following Zelensky's plea for help. BVP-1 infantry fighting vehicles, howitzer artillery pieces, and whatever the fuck. Czech Republic is the first NATO country to deliver heavy military equipment since war began on the 24th. Officially, it's done. NATO is now sending tanks into Ukraine. Let me say that again. NATO is sending tanks into Ukraine. Because trust me, a NATO country couldn't get by with this without approval from NATO. The delivery has once again raised concerns that NATO may get dragged into Vladimir Putin's war. And that's exactly what's going to happen. Joint Chiefs Chair Mark Milley demands nuclear sea-launched cruise missiles. Warns potential for significant international conflict with China and Russia is increasing and that the Ukraine war could last years. He demands nuclear sea-launched cruise missiles. What? The nation's most senior military figure on Tuesday listed the threats facing the U.S., and he appeared before lawmakers to discuss the Pentagon's budget. Mark Milley said the world was growing more unstable. Washington must pursue peace relative to China and Russia, but he warned that war in Ukraine could last years. So he wants nuclear sea-launched cruise missiles. You guys feel me yet? Do you believe me? I've been doing these reports every day. Are we on the way to World War III or not? Putin's daughters are added to the growing list of Russians sanctioned by the EU as allies prepare to unveil ban of investment on investment in the country to increase pressure on Moscow. So the donors of Vladimir Putin are going to be hit by sanctions as well. You're going to take their money. You're going to take what they do. Wednesday's targets include oligarchs, politicians, banks, and Russian imports. G7, EU, and the USA have also agreed to a total ban on all new Russian investment. See what they're doing? Russia's getting backed against the wall. They're going to have no choice. Top General, of course, Milley, urges more U.S. troops in Eastern Europe. What? More U.S. troops in Eastern Europe. That means Ukraine. Milley wants more U.S. troops over there. NATO scours the skies for incursions. Do you feel it? NATO's searching the skies, waiting for that moment. They're waiting for the moment for this shit to pop up. They're begging for it to happen. Okay? Meanwhile, Vladimir Putin recruiting dad's army of Odies to prop up creaking Ukraine invasion. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. These young kids today can't fight. Might as well get yourself an Odie. Sometimes those old motherfuckers know how to get shit done. Ex-oligarch says Putin sees war with the West as already underway. Exactly. Putin thinks this is already war with America. And we're making it worse. And it's coming. 100% it's coming. Ukraine's zoo boss says they will put down all of their animals. It wasn't just lions, tigers, and bears. They will put down all of their animals. It's home to more than 6,000 animals. Zelensky says his goal is to turn Ukraine into a greater Israel. What? Is that why we're sending all this money over there? Is that why we're getting a second Israel? Well, that sounds exceptional. Footage shows Ukrainian troops brutalizing captives. This is the shit you won't see anywhere else. They're not going to show you this type of shit anywhere. Let's see here. I don't know how, you know what, I'm not going to do it. I don't know how brutal it is, and this is on YouTube. But you see them. That's Ukrainian soldiers with detainees and captives attacking them. But they want you to believe that it's Russia doing bad shit to the innocent Ukrainians right there. You see officers kicking detainees in the head and mocking one scared man's weak bladder because he pissed on himself. Now, everybody likes to cry racism all the time. Airbnb bans Russians and Belarusians from using the services. What? Ain't that, what the hell is that shit called? What do they say it is when you have a problem with the people outside your country? How can you just ban a whole group of people? We don't like the Russians, let's ban them. But yet, these are the same people that when Trump said, hey, we're going to close up the borders to the Mexicans and the Muslims, they had a problem with it. But for some reason, this is okay. I hope China and Russia truly do team up. China's foreign ministry protests Pentagon's plans to increase arms supplies to Taiwan. So the Pentagon's going to increase the arms they give to Taiwan right in the middle of all this shit. According to the diplomat, the Chinese authorities considered the supplies of U.S. arms to Taipei as a violation of bilateral agreements and an infringement on China's national interests. Oh, it's coming. It is coming. Russian invasion could last years, and Putin has not lost his ambition to control the whole country. NATO chief warns as Kiev tells civilians in East Ukraine to leave now or risk death. That's right, because they know what's coming. That nuke is coming. Jens Stoltenberg warned Russia's war in Ukraine could last months, even years. NATO chief said the international community should be realistic about Moscow. It comes as bloc's foreign ministers meet to discuss supplying more arms to Kiev. The Czech Republic today became the first member to supply tanks, as we've talked about. Hungary's like, shit, I'm hungry. We'll pay for gas supplies in rubles. As I showed you guys last week, the Russian ruble is actually up in value from the start of this war. We got some big shit coming. World War III is on the verge of happening. I've been reporting on this every single day. And as you can see, each one of these reports are 20 to 30 minutes long, and I'm not even reading the articles to you. I'm just going with the headlines and giving you some commentary, and it's still lasting 20 to 30 minutes every single time because there's so much news out there. And as you can see, by just the headlines, just what's going on, you got Kim Jong-un, you got his fucking sister, you got Russia, you got China. God damn, I've told you, this shit is brewing, this shit is building. What say you? Let me know in the comment section what you think about this. I'm not wrong here. This is the closest in my lifetime we've been to world war, and I don't see this thing chilling out. I don't see this thing getting any easier. The worst thing we need right now, and I'm telling you right now, we're going to wake up one morning and China's invaded Taiwan. Then what? What are we going to do then? Or the worst thing is maybe NATO flies into the Ukraine and Russia takes out a NATO plane. Then what? Nuclear war is coming. I told you, I think a nuke will be set off this year. There will be a nuclear bomb this year. I think it'll hit Kiev, though. I do.